So today we wanted to do a short comparison between the Stokke Trailz and the brand new Stokke Beat. We tend generally not to do this sort of a comparison of strollers that are clearly inside different classes with regards to size and weight, so it's going to be a little bit more unscripted today, but we have got several questions regarding which of these two strollers might be better to purchase. We have another video about how to pick the right stroller for your lifestyle. I would recommend looking at that if you're considering strollers within such different size classes, just to get some idea as to how weight and size will actually impact how you use the stroller. But looking at these two strollers then, if you do want to go Stokke, Stokke is a great company. They do a lot of good stuff in relation to how they build their strollers, and a lot of good stuff in relation to customer support and guarantee and so on. So if you've decided on Stokke and you don't want the Explorer, which would be kind of the middle model, but is a little bit of an oddball, you might be then looking at the Beat or the Trailz. As you can see, they are very, very different in relation to size and weight. I'm going to give you a few numbers now to start off with. When you fold these down, which is of course going to be important when you are folding it down to carry upstairs, or more importantly when you're putting it in your car. So think about your trunk size space. The Beat is going to come down to 78 by 53 by 32 centimeters, folded down with the seat. Seat actually folds nicely with the chassis. The Trailz with the seat, not this bassinet, is going to come to 95 by 50 by 63 centimeters. Weight-wise, the Beat weighs 9.5 kilos, and the Trailz clocks in at a little bit under 14 kilos. Okay, so when we talk about capacity, weight capacity, what it can carry, we're talking about 22 kilo maximum for the Beat, way more than you need. Generally online, you're going to find with the Trailz, if you're looking especially at European stores, that it's labeled as 15 kilos, but really it's about 22 kilos as well. See, that has to do with EU safety regulations. They also both claim 10 kilos in the shopping baskets, but just based on how they're constructed, I would say that the Trailz can exceed that by a few kilos pretty safely. When you're looking at price between these two models, and you're looking at getting the full package, yeah? So not just the stroller with the seat or just the stroller with a bassinet, but the seat, the bassinet, and in the case of the Beat, you actually have to purchase the rain cover separately. The Trailz is only going to come to about 20% more than the Beat. And so prices are going to vary, of course, based on where you're purchasing and whether there's special deals being run and so on. But let's say if you get a complete Trailz for $1,000, you'll get the Beat for around $800. So really, since they're both kind of expensive strollers, it's not that huge price difference. But what they will do for you, their capabilities, is going to be relatively significant. So starting with the Beat then, the Beat is going to be lighter weight, a little bit smaller when it folds. It's a reiteration of the Scoot, which is now discontinued, and it's essentially designed for sort of smooth, urban sort of lifestyle. The reason for that being that it has no suspension on the whole stroller. It does have a little bit of wobble protection in the front frame. There's no suspension. It has foam tires. It does not have an option for air-filled or foam-filled tires. Just the pure foam, and you will feel a lot of jumps if you decide to take this thing off-road onto any sort of trails. Really, even light, uneven terrain is going to make this thing jerk around quite a bit. But if you live in the middle of a very urban environment like Manhattan, you tend to do a lot of like shopping with your stroller, then that's really not going to be a problem. It's going to glide quite nicely through smooth and flat terrain. And it does have a very easy system for folding it down. It is very lightweight, so that's going to be very convenient if you need to fold it down, like throw it into a small car. You know, space considerations generally, if you're living in the urban sort of environment. What you lose though for it then is, of course, first and foremost, that drivability. You're not going to be able to take this thing off-road. And a certain amount of longevity based on the fact that the mechanisms are composed of a lot more lightweight materials. It's going to be a lot easier to wear down this stroller over time if you use too much weight, and for those few times when you are forced to kind of drive it over uneven terrain and stuff. However, that being said, if you plan on using your stroller in a more limited capacity throughout the day, you have a small car, you perhaps live on a third floor of a building that doesn't have an elevator, you need something light for carrying it up and down stairs, and live in a city, certainly, or a very smooth suburban sort of environment, then the Beat might actually function for you just fine. And then there's the Trailz, which just by looking at it is a lot heavier and a lot larger, and that weight and space has been used to make it a lot sturdier and a lot more capable, in particular with driving off-road and this sort of thing. And this is one of the reasons we didn't want to do a comparison as we normally do, where I go down over the mechanics across the whole length of the chassis, because I would really just be saying that the Trailz is better, and that's not exactly fair because they are from different classes and they have different sorts of lifestyles. So that extra weight and that extra size means that this is not the kind of stroller to have if you have a small car and you use your car daily and you need something for taking in and out of a car. Even with a large car, even with an SUV, you have to count on this taking up quite a lot of your trunk space. Now, on the other hand, if you are the kind of person who, say, doesn't use a car all the time and needs a stroller that you're going to be able to take out and use throughout the day as sort of a mobile base, then there's lots of room for storage. It's very sturdily constructed. It doesn't matter if you decide you have to go off-road, you're going through a bumpy sort of an area. It has very ample suspension. It has a lot of protection for the wheels in the front. And the weight itself is going to help when you're pushing through. I don't know if you live in a colder environment through snow, or you go through like softer terrain, a bit of sand, this sort of thing. You're going to get a lot more drivability, a lot more sturdiness out of this as a stroller, especially if you don't have a car. If you take public transport and you are going to need to use your stroller all day long, this sort of stroller is going to do a lot more for you than the Beat, which, to be honest, with that sort of a lifestyle, the Beat is going to sustain a lot of wear over a lot shorter period of time than the Trailz will, and really won't be quite as functional a few years down the road as the Trailz will. So Trailz then is going to be ideal if you don't use your car daily, or you have a very large car. If you live in areas that are a little bit rougher terrain, you live out in the countryside, or you tend to take your stroller on walks in forest trails and parks, this sort of thing, you'll get a lot more use out of the Trailz. Personally, I like a heavier stroller. I like a lot of off-road capability. That sort of thing fits my lifestyle. While the Beat is not a bad stroller, it has no place in the sort of lifestyle that I have, whereas the Trailz I have used myself for several years, along with a number of other strollers, and I find it to be just one of the most capable and sturdy strollers on the market. So in any case, that was our brief comparison between the Stokke Beat and the Stokke Trailz, intended for those of you who've already decided that you want more or less one of these two models, because you like Stokke, for example, and we're just unsure about how to choose between the two. It's really all going to come down to lifestyle and how you plan on using these strollers. We hope this video has been useful to you, and if it has been, we ask that you subscribe, as it helps us to continue making videos in the future. Thank you.